Today I'm going to show you how I painted this Minotaur model by Greebo Games for this year's Nienburg Bear Bowl.
Hello and a warm welcome to Miniatures in Minutes. In the next minutes you and I will find our inner selves in miniature painting. Enjoy the delicate scent of tea leaves releasing their comforting aromas into hot water. Feel the grain of time gently slipping away one by one and join us in spreading colors on the miniature. In minutes.
I'm using paints from Kimera, but of course you can use any other brand. In the end, it's all about how you work with them. You'll find a complete list of colors I used in the video description. There's also affiliate links, so if you need to buy any of them, you can do so by using our link to support us without paying a cent extra. I start with a heavily thinned black-brown mixture, which I later replace with a dark violet and apply it all over the metal plates. That gives us a solid base tone and ensures the later paint layers have more depth. Next, I begin with a mid-tone brown. I paint the areas that should later appear lighter, so not the shadow areas. This way I gradually separate light and dark zones from each other. Then I follow up with a slightly lighter tone, again on the same areas, but leaving a bit more room on the outer edges. And that's how the direction of light starts to slowly take shape. Don't worry about soft transitions just yet, we'll get to that later. Right now, the main focus is just figuring out where light and shadow are supposed to sit. And if I accidentally paint too far into the dark areas, I simply go back over them with a darker tone. The paints here are deliberately not very opaque. I thin them down heavily so that rough transitions happen naturally. That will save time later on. Furthermore, I'm working with parallel strokes. That gives the metal a bit of structure, slightly polished but still worn look. What doesn't look worn though is our Patreon, where you have access to PDF tutorials and you can decide what video comes next. Thanks to your support, now back to the video. Eventually I get to the yellow. The first yellow I tried was a bit too sandy, just not yellow enough. So I replaced it with a more vibrant yellow and the best highlight color in the world, this slightly yellow-white. This mixture gave me some nice in-between tones to work with more easily. For the next part I switched to a slightly bigger brush to cover more area, but that one also holds a lot more moisture, so I had to be careful not to flood the miniature with too much water. I'm using a very diluted yellow paint to do some glazes, sometimes over the entire armor plates, sometimes only for parts of it. To keep the dark areas from becoming too bright, I regularly go back in with the diluted brown or violet over the shadow zones. This part of the process just takes time. Patience is key, but it's not really complex or particularly difficult. And slowly I'm starting to work with the brightest color, the previously mentioned off-white. The areas I'm painting are getting narrower, but still stretch across the full height of each armor plate. And at first I tried working with stippling, so a bunch of little dots to add some more texture and some different texture, but honestly I just didn't like the result, so I went back to using the tiny little strokes. But trying things out as you go is part of the process, even if they don't always work out. You can always paint over it and learn what does and doesn't work for you. Following the same approach as before, I continue with bright tones. The yellow-white, a bit of yellow, then yellow-white again. Sometimes I use an in-between shade, then glaze for softer transitions, followed by a clear highlight. Always in those parallel strokes. And to finish, I go back in with the same dark violet from the beginning and line the edges in the recesses. That visually separates the different armor parts, kind of like reverse edge highlighting, I guess. And it's looking good already, but of course there's still plenty to do. And what comes next is just the same process over and over again. Nothing complicated, just calm and steady painting. So sit back and enjoy some music from Harris Heller while I show us better part of the painting process. now that the edges are painted, you can really see the difference. The direction of light is much clearer and the whole model looks way more finished, though that might also be because it is a bit more finished. And now, thanks to the magic of editing, a few hours have passed, during which I painted the rest of the armor using the exact same principles. Right now I'm just finishing off the last golden details. Of course, this isn't the end of the process, but it's the end of the armor. Once the rest of the model is painted, it ends up looking like this. And by the way, this finished model can be won at this year's Nienborg Bear Bowl. You'll find a link to the event down in the video description, as always. Thank you for watching, and if you want to support us without any cost, tell your friends and family about us, leave a follow and like this video. If this kind of polished gold is a bit too shiny for you, why not take a look at how Sven paints his dirty orc metals next? Have fun painting!